Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new episode of Indie Zombie Reviews. I'm Jordan and today I am talking about A Whole New World. Let's begin. A Whole New World was a Kickstarter game made by Mad Gear Games, originally released in May of this year on Steam. This is the PS4 version. It is also available on the Xbox One, and apparently the developers made a few NES cartridge copies as well for backers. The game heavily resembles classics like Megaman, and even some look of Shovel Knight in there as well. The sprite work looks great, and the music is pretty good as well. The story is, a goddess created this world and later had to use her power to separate them, a light and a dark world, as wars were beginning to brew. And in doing so, she turned herself into crystals and spread across the worlds. Now you are the potion master, and you've come to save and protect the kingdom, as your weapons are all that will defeat the darkness. Led by the Dark Lord Badku, who has merged the light and the dark worlds together and forced his way into the world to conquer it. The game begins with this first level and you encountering the final boss, who kicks your ass, because you're just not strong enough to take him on yet. So Faye the Fairy takes you far away to the start of the game, where you go around from level to level fighting enemies and bosses, and of course gaining brand new powers, a la Mega Man. There are 4 different weapons that you'll get near the end game. First is your starter, a simple blue potion, and Faye the Fairy, who acts as a charge shot. She can go across the screen and deal double damage, very effective against stronger enemies, and for clearing out an area. You can change your shots to above or below you too. The second power-up you'll get is Lightning, which feels like the most worthless power in a way. It has a very limited throw range, but its attack goes up through the screen, so there's that. But it has such a slow delay to its use as well. Thirdly, the Fire and Ice power. This you can throw in any direction, and because of its combo, it will either freeze or burn enemies upon impact. But the problem with this is, if you fill the screen with so much of this, it will start messing with the frame rate, and you might start taking damage, or possibly even kill yourself, because you'll lose track of where you are. And finally, Darkness, which really just looks like a fire ring. And with that power-up, you'll also get the double jump, a slide, and a dive attack as well. I feel like you should have gotten these early on in the game, to be honest. And since you get these near the end, I practically forgot about the slide and the dive kick. When I first started playing this, I was really enjoying it. And then I got a little bit deeper into some of the more boss fights and more of the levels, and the fun really started wearing off for me. The fact that enemies and bosses have invisible hit frames like you do is really annoying, and that you get thrown back when you're hit, but they don't, or even have a stun animation, is pretty unfair at times too. The bosses are pretty cool, but that wears off really quick, because you'll get thrown around so much and die so quickly and easily. Thankfully, you don't have to worry about continues or restarting the level, thank God. There were a lot of times where some enemies will respawn, like these annoying bats, but not everything else. Or some enemies come out of nowhere and will just hit you. Just really unfair and annoying. Up until now, the levels were pretty straightforward. Fight enemies, collect these diamonds, which I don't even know what purpose they serve. Points, I guess. And food for health. But then you get these snowmen enemies that just start swarming you, and the bad traction on the ice, and these snow clods, I guess, that make you slowed and limit your jumps too. Why? Anyway, and I haven't really talked about the upside down world. I don't like it. You use it basically as you're supposed to traverse through the rest of the level, or later on as an alternative path, or simply to progress. Mostly because to shoot up, you now have to point down, and that throws me off, but you get used to it at some point. I still don't like it, mostly because my perspective is thrown off, and it's just very annoying to me. What's interesting is that with the different powers, some bosses you have to use a specific power against them at certain points. Others, just whatever works. Like the Fire and Ice guy here. Your regular attack will work just fine, but then he'll switch, and you have to use lightning. The fun starts to die by about level 4 or so, because now you have to navigate your way through this level to find these heart things, destroy them to unlock the rest of the level. And finally, the boss. Oh boy, I hate this boss. Now there are instant death pits on this boss fight, so if you're nearly at full health and get knocked into the hole, you die and have to restart the fight. This is the first time the game has introduced this too, and the boss fight is on the upside down world too. The very annoying bit comes from this force field they will put up, and not take it down until you hit them from behind, so you have to use the fire and ice power on them. And as every boss is near death, they all have, of course, this ultimate, almost unavoidable attack. Finally, after several attempts, I beat them. What is nice is that the levels have a lot of checkpoints, so thankfully you might not be set back too far if you die or run out of lives. Also, when you die, normally in the level, Faye, the fairy, will revive you, restoring your life, but once you're out of lives, you go back to the checkpoint. You can find 1-ups, but only in certain levels. During every single boss fight, especially the last one, I kept on wondering, why doesn't she revive you during the boss fight? Maybe they thought that would have made it too easy and not so challenging. But why take you back to the checkpoint? I hate this underground level. These dark areas that you have to light up in order to attack these invisible enemies. Well, they're not invisible, but you can only hit them when you light these torches. And then these giant plant monsters that are eating through the ground, only vulnerable from behind, and they're all over the place. These squid-looking things that are only on the upside-down world and just dart all over the place. Thank God that when you kill these giant bone monsters in some of these areas, they don't respawn if you die or have to continue. And then all these trap areas, and traps you won't see until you activate them. It's just tiring, and it's just no fun. And isn't that really the point of a challenge? Is that you're supposed to feel validated, after you beat it? And that's a lot of the thing here. I didn't feel that. I just got more and more frustrated with this as I kept going. And no fun either. Then I fell down this long hole and came to the castle. Was that supposed to happen? Also, a few times in the game I came across these characters who fight enemies for you. Kind of cool, but it only happens like 2 times in the game, at least it did for me anyway. I kind of wish I could have played as those characters. Finally, on the last level, you fight this demon guy, and then Badku, the final boss. I need to note about the demon guy here. I fucking hate this guy. He has this one attack that he'll do at one point where he just dives all over the place. Then when he's done, the whole screen explodes. And as far as from what I could tell, there's really no safe to stand, so regardless, you just take damage. What I hate most about this final fight with Badku is you can only hurt him with a certain power during the fight. First with lightning, which sucks because your range is limited. Then the aura around him will change and you have to switch to fire and ice, which is fine, I have no problem with that. And then darkness. And lastly, with your original power. But what I hate about this fight is his attacks have such long range and can come at you so fast that you take damage just way too quickly and then you die. This fireball move of his can cover so much of the screen, and I was constantly jumping to try and avoid it that it was leaving me open to his charging attack. If you try sliding away or under him, that's a good way to get around. Sometimes you can use your dive kick to avoid his charge by bouncing on him, other times you can't or it just doesn't work and you take damage. Or when he jumps at you with his claws, if he's close, he'll grab you and try to do this instant kill move, which you can struggle out of, but it's just so damn annoying. So much of this fight just got me more and more frustrated and pissed off, till finally I beat him. After beating the game, you unlock some challenges, and the game hints at a sequel. It's sad too, because I am a Megaman fan. I am, and this game obviously takes heavy inspirations from that, and even from Shovel Knight, a game that I really liked and thought was really cool. But this just doesn't seem to really do any of that right. Like, too much of the challenge just gets way too insane. And a lot of the other power-ups that you get that feel a lot more useful only come near the end of the game, with your double jumps and your slides and stuff. And like I said earlier, I practically forgot that I even had those at one point. This just didn't feel rewarding to play through. This was just annoying to sit through. I can't really give this a recommendation, but if you have any interest in it, feel free to check it out. In fact, tell me what you guys think below in the comments. I would really appreciate it. Well, those are my thoughts on A Whole New World. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter, support me on Patreon. All my links are in the description down below. Cover art, of course, is done by my friend QuickKick. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.